One of the absolute rarest things to find out in the middle of the galaxy is a planet that has life and is untouched by any actual sentient species. This is extremely rare as many of the planets end up being just simple barren rock that's mined for its minerals, gas giants that are harvested for, well, their gas, or just asteroid fields or something of that nature. It is very, very rare. On one of these planets designated Cretaceous 2, this is actually a level 3 death world and is a full-on nature preserve. That way, the universe can admire a planet that has been able to create life on its own, and they can also study its evolution if evolution actually happens. The visitors come from all over the galaxy and are all walks of life. They want to see what's going on. They want to experience something different from their own, and they can explore as long as they follow the one rule. Stay inside the fences. This is in big bold letters everywhere. For your own safety, stay inside the fences is said at least a dozen times during the day. Of course, some decide that they don't want to listen. Most of these who decide to forego this one rule come from manufacturing worlds or paradise worlds that want to view a death world itself, and they are the most arrogant when they are wealthy, and the ones that are young. Mix the two and you have a problem. Especially when they come from a manufacturing world that almost never sees natural flora or fauna anymore. Paradise worlds want to see something dangerous. In this instance, the two that decided to cut their way through the fence with a small hole and wiggle their way through was a pair of female Zexians that thought it'd be a good idea to look for the dangerous fauna that they heard about. Though they just wanted an image or two, maybe a recording, at least at first. Because they both come from paradise worlds, they lack the idea of dangers from their homeworld of deep shit, and they would not understand the real danger of the fauna they're looking for. Even when they saw one standing ankle deep in the water getting a drink, they stood there taking images of it and video. And they were just loud and giggling as they began to post these images of themselves with this creature in the background on their own net, sending it to all their friends saying how cool it was, this is so awesome, blah blah blah. They believed it to be awesome until the large bipedal reptilian raised its head suddenly, sniffed, and smelled the sweet scent of the female Zexians. Now, they realize something's bad as this reptilian simply spots them, which they stick out like sore thumbs since their skin actually clashes with the local flora. They now find themselves running through the dense vegetation trying to find any way away from the danger. Their fight or flight instinct definitely kicked in as they're making incredible speed, able to stay ahead of this creature that stands almost 50% taller than they do. They find a river and realize that if they stop, they're dead, so they immediately jump in, believing that the stubby little wings type arms on this reptilian are possibly going to make it so it will not be able to swim. The Zexians don't have to worry about getting all wet and having to strip off clothes, as in their society, what they wear basically akin to what humanity calls a bikini, so they don't have to worry about drying off or kicking off anything. After getting to the other side of the river, they stop and look, and they realize that the reptile had not given up. It had simply moved a little farther upriver as it seen some stones blocking the river and began to jump from stone to stone to stone. They took off as they realized that this thing was about to cross the river, and they heard a splash thinking that maybe they were safe, but they weren't going to take any type of chances. The reptilian had just happened to slip on the final stone and crashed into the river, but it was right next to the shore. After composing itself, it simply stood back up, walked out of the river, took a few sniffs into the air, and ran back towards the females. The females do not stop running, realizing that they don't have much time to escape. If this thing keeps running, they're going to run out of steam, and they are so dead. As they're busting through the dense flora, they realize they see buildings. They're saved. and they run faster, realizing that they might be able to get there. They might be able to free themselves, falling down little hills as they get there, tripping over vegetation, getting cut up as they run through, not even caring anymore. They end up arriving right at the fence. Then they realize there's no hole to get through. They don't have the ability to climb the fence the way it's curved the way it is. They'd end up upside down. They look around left and right to try and figure out what's going on, and then they hear a growl, a low growl. They spin around. They see the 3.5-meter tall lizard simply stalking them, moving sideways as though it was preparing itself for the meal, leaning forward as though it's getting ready to strike. But before it could get back on its haunches so it could sprint off, the females take off running again right through the woods. They run as fast as they can, finally reaching an open field. It wasn't long until they realized they don't have any place to hide. They would just have to run as fast as they can before they could zigzag through the trees, and the reptilian would have to walk their way around, especially if it slammed into a larger tree, which would make it sometimes lose its balance. Now, they were simply sprinting as hard as they could in a straight line, and they were reaching their limit. They could almost feel the reptilian as it panted behind them, getting closer and closer. As they turned just a little bit, they can see that the reptile was getting close enough to strike as it began to open its mouth. Suddenly, they hear an explosion, a whip of wind, and the reptile falls dead with a sudden stomp. The girls see this and stop in amazement. In that moment of contemplation, they hear a metallic sound, and they have no idea what the hell that was. They turn to the sound and realize a man is walking out with some sort of strange metal device in his hand, some sort of long metal tube. They realize that this is something they hadn't seen. They read about them, but this is the first time seeing a human. Its strange gait walks up to them and simply reaches up, grabs the piece of cloth on its head, pulls it down, goes, "Y'all ladies all right?" They're still catching their breath as they try to say that they're okay, but they're lost. They keep screaming, talking over each other. Whoa, 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 calm down, calm down. I knew something was up. I heard that lizard there was making a whole lot of noise, and I just came to see what was going on. You girls just hold on a second. Let me just check in. I'll make a call in for a second. He immediately grabs his radio and says that he has 2 personnel outside the fence. He'll be bringing them in. By this point, the girls are finally catching their breath. He simply looks over to them. It's a good thing I was here. You girls would have still been running if I hadn't been." One of them actually asked, "Why is that?" He said, "Oh, that's if it was my partner out here. His name's Mick. He's from a place we call on Earth Australia. And I'll tell you that boy, I don't know what it is about them folks there. They just love to wrestle any type of lizard they can get. I swear, the more dangerous it is, the more they like to poke it with a stick." The females were completely confused until one of them actually turned back to the lizard and said, "Is it dead?" "Yep, you could say that dealing with me kind of blew his mind." The other female turned, pointed at the rifle in his hand and says, "What is that?" "Oh, this? Here's a Remington 30-30, using 170 grain bullets. I would have preferred my Winchester to carry around, but 44 caliber don't exactly do the damage needed to take down one of these big bastards." The females are completely confused at his words, as they haven't used projectile weapons, well, ever. Yet they are both starting to shiver at this point, as now that they're not running anymore and the fact that they're still soaking wet, and with the sun going down, well, things are not adding up. "All right, let's get you ladies back before you catch yourselves a chill. It would be worse if you go hypothermic on me, especially around here. It gets a little chilly at night." As they start walking away, one of the females says, "I'm amazed you don't use something more modern than that strange projectile launcher." The other female said, "Yes, I'm sure you could easily upgrade to something else." The man looks at his rifle, then looks at the girls and said, "Oh, I will, when I start missing what I shoot at. Now, let's get you 2 lovely ladies back to the compound. I'm sure some folks are worried about you by now, and U-Bolt is going to have to answer some questions. In particular, how'd you get outside the fence? Hello, everybody. This is Syntax. Thank you so much for joining me today on this short story. Before I go, I need to send out some special thank yous to a few of my supporters, and those would be MTF Guard, Erica Gem, SS Demon, Chris Dixon, Guardian Sage, and Sir. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. Everybody else, I'll see you on the next one. This is Syntax, punching out.